topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from experts on such topics as legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to our experts in community association law, estate planning law, tax relief, Medicare, public insurance adjusters, neuropathy treatment, business brokers, and personal injury law, along with many other topics. Now here's your host for the last 17 years, Steve O.
New Jersey, beautiful state, the Garden State of New Jersey. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We are on 70 platforms. We just added one of the top platforms. I should get a medal for this one. TikTok. What an amazing platform. We're so excited about it. And I'm already seeing we're well over 1,000 likes already, and we haven't even started the show yet. I want to thank everybody for the questions you've been sending in today. This is a very important show to me because I was an idiot. I waited on my estate planning and kept putting off, and my brother is an attorney, and he kept getting on me. And I finally went in and sat down with him and found out all the stuff I was missing out on. I had no idea about. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to teach you about that so you don't make the same mistakes I made. Let me welcome you to our great expert attorney in estate planning, attorney Kimberly Patton. Good afternoon, Kimberly.
Good afternoon, Steve. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we love having you. I got to tell you, God, if we can just hit one person to get off the couch, call you up, sit down with you. There's so much when it comes to estate planning, whether it's wills, trust, probate. I mean, you have to have an attorney, an experienced attorney. Kimberly, tell us about your law firm, Patton Law Firm.
Oh, well, I've been practicing for 40 years. I was with a big firm, and I was a named partner in a big firm for 20 years. I started my firm 20 years ago to help families protect themselves and their assets. And it's very, very important, especially in this world with all the AI generated answers that people are seeing, that you do get in front of an experienced attorney when it comes to how do you protect your family? How do you protect them? What documents do you need? Do you really need a revocable trust here in New Jersey? I will say I don't think you do, but it's always so very fact sensitive. And there's ways of protecting assets from creditors, making sure your family is not fighting over things after you pass away, or if you get sick, make sure all your money gets where you want it to go.
You know, Kimberly, one of the things that just I got so excited about doing this show with you, one of the first things you said is, I want to keep people out of probate because it becomes very expensive. Now, This is how you make your living. And here you are telling people how to save from spending all that money.
Well, that's my job, is I want to protect my clients. I want the families to get along. I don't want them wasting money, fighting over, did mom mean this or did mom mean that? Sometimes mom loans one of the children money and she calls it a loan, but she never expected it to be a loan. It was always a gift in her mind. And it was always a gift in the child's mind. But then there's the other child and they start fighting and fighting. So I am a big believer in you make sure that people know what you want and what you expect, because you don't want your children fighting over, was that $10,000 a gift or a loan? You worked really hard to make sure that your children were well taken care of. The greatest joy I think any parent has is that their children get along. And you're going to destroy it if you don't have the right documents.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how you deal with this, but we're getting people that are having difficulties with family deciding on who is going to make certain choices and
Mhm.
without hurting others' feelings. How do you handle that?
Oh, it's a tough one because parents really don't want to hurt their children's feelings. And they might say, I know this particular child is not going to do a good job because it's just not their strong suit. They're not organized. They don't follow through. It's just a personality. But they feel like if I don't name this child, they'll be hurt. But then you might be hurting everybody else, and you might be winding up spending a lot of your money because the other children have to get involved and become adversarial almost to the point where they have to go to court to make that child, who should never have been chosen to be the executor of the estate or the agent under a power of attorney. It just is not their right personality.
How does the hospital know if you say you're unconscious? How does the hospital know that you've got certain wants and needs in your estate planning? How do they find that out?
Well, we typically give a wallet card. Now, it's up to the
Mm,
person to carry it with them, but a
yes.
wallet card that says, I have my estate planning documents with the patent law firm here in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. And maybe they'll see that. The family should certainly know. We give our clients a beautiful blue folder with all copies of your documents in it. So, and make sure we tell our clients, make sure your family knows about this and knows where it's located in your house. Keep it easily accessible so that when the family gets called, they'll say, oh, wait a minute, we have all the documents. They just grab the folder, they bring it to the hospital. And, in those stressful times, the family may not be able to distinguish between the right documents, but the doctors can, the nurses can, the administrators can. And then we get the people involved. And we're very fortunate today with all the technology that even if a child lives in California, they can be making good decisions for their parent here in New Jersey.
I shared we do about 8 different estate planning shows around the country, and it's amazing. Doesn't matter what part of the country, people hear the word estate planning, and they
Mhm.
think that you've got to be a multimillionaire,
That's for sure.
and that's not the case.
It's a
So
mistake.
people ask me, I will.
It is a mistake because whatever you've worked for, whatever you've saved, you want to make sure it gets to your children or to your family, your sister, your brother, your family members, charity. You want to make sure it gets to where you want it to go. And you don't want anybody fighting. And frankly, you don't want to pay attorneys to figure this all out after you pass away. You're so much better off being clear in your instructions. Also, double checking all your beneficiaries on your IRAs, your 401ks, your bank accounts, your life insurance policies. I've seen situations where people have life insurance policies that still name their mother, and the mother had passed away 10 years earlier. So
Wow.
make sure you update these beneficiaries. Make sure that whatever you want to happen will actually happen, and your will doesn't change that. So you might have named your mother on your insurance policy when you first started working, but now you've got a spouse and 4 kids, and your will says first to my spouse, then to my children equally, and you just assume that insurance is going to go there. That may not be the case. So you really want to go, it's a much bigger umbrella nowadays than just a will. So you want to make sure that you look at your beneficiaries that are named, because those will control. If the beneficiary names your mother as the beneficiary, it's going there. If it's even if the will says it goes to my spouse. Now, where it's a really difficult situation is mom is maybe already on Medicaid and you die and that life insurance goes to mom and nobody in the family is benefiting from it. Medicaid is benefiting from it.
Every time I hear or read about a young person, maybe 30s, 40s, or 50s,
Sure.
passing away that no one expected. And that's kind of the purpose of this show, not to wait. But what happens if someone dies without a will?
Well, then the intestacy law controls. So the intestacy law says it will go to your next of kin. Now that might be your parents. It might be one parent. If the other parent has passed away, if both parents have passed away, it will go to your siblings. If one of your siblings has passed away, it'll go to their children. If you don't have these closer family ties, it might be going to a cousin that you haven't seen in 50 years. So do you really want that cousin that you have no relationship inheriting your assets? That would be a travesty in my book. That's why you want to have a will, say what you want, name the person who you want to be the executor, so that you make sure that your assets get to the right person. I have had people say to me, well, it'll just go to my wife and that's okay. All right. But if she really has to become administrator now, not an executor, it's the same job, but different name, she might have to post a bond. The bond is an insurance policy that she handles the estate properly. And that bond could be $3,000. And that's really not a good use of your money. And it's going to delay the process a little bit. More likely that it's very possible that everything might go to your spouse automatically because they are named beneficiaries, but your house may not, your car may not. You really want to just have this all figured out ahead of time.
Ooh, here's a real good tip. I'm really enjoying your show. I live in Florida part of the year and in the New Jersey area the other part of the year. When I get back to Jersey, I am going to give you a call. I'm very concerned about long-term care. Do you work in those areas?
We do. And you should be concerned about long-term care because right now it's somewhere between $13,000 a month to $20,000 a month if you need long-term care. So depending on how much care you need, it could cost you $13,000 to $20,000 a month, and that's going to break anybody. So you really want to be prepared for it. We have different types of pots of money that we look for to pay for these monies. Most of the time, it's your personal savings, unless you're prepared. And then you might have long-term care insurance. If you're a veteran, there might be some benefits available. Here in New Jersey, we're very fortunate for our firefighters. They have their own long-term care facility out in Boonton. But there are some restrictions, so you want to be prepared for that situation. And that will not cover the spouse. The veterans benefits cover the spouse or the widow or the widower. So we always give you options and we try to give you as much information as possible so their client can make their best decision, but being fully informed.
Next question. This is actually from somebody in New York who's watching the show. They want to know, what is the difference between an executor and a trustee?
Oh, very good question. The executor is the person you name under the will for after you die to handle your assets that are controlled by your will. That might be your house, your car. What is not controlled by your will would be maybe your life insurance that names a beneficiary or your 401k that names a beneficiary. So that's the executor that's only handling things under your will. A trustee is a person you name to handle things that are inside your trust. So we do it. When my husband got sick, I moved our house into an irrevocable trust. I moved our savings into an irrevocable trust. My children are the co-trustees of that trust. So they are in charge of enforcing the rules of the trust. The executor is in charge of enforcing the rules that we set up in the will.
What about power of attorney?
Power of attorney is another extremely important document, especially in this world where you want a power of attorney that you name somebody. Now it's called an agent or an attorney. In fact, sometimes you'll hear they are handling things while you're alive, and assets that are in your name that might have to pay your bills. When my mother got sick, I was her power of attorney. I had to make sure her bills got paid, her real estate taxes. Also, the power of attorney handled medical treatment. So I had to decide, does she get the flu shot? I should tell you she had dementia. I think I missed that one. But she had dementia, and as she got worse and not capable of handling things, I had to decide, does she get a flu shot? Should she go to the hospital now, or should we wait? Now, if I didn't have those documents, I would not have any authority to help my mother. That's why you want to, even though I'm the daughter, and I will say the same about my husband when he was sick, I needed to show those documents or they would not let me talk to the doctors.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is crazy. People want to know about protecting their minor children. What are things that can be done so they can protect their minor children?
Well, in your will, you can say if I die, if both of us die, both parents die, then I'm going to name my sister to be guardian. I'm also going to name my sister to be the trustee of the money. So you want to make sure that you name somebody that's going to take care of the children and somebody to take care of the money. It could be the exact same person, but it's all up to the families. Is somebody a really good caretaker and would be a good guardian for the children, but not very good with money? Well, then you might name your other sister to be the person who handles the trust money. And I like to keep money in trust for a long time. Not 18. Children are just not mature enough to handle a good chunk of money. Not even 25. I usually say leave it in trust until they're 30. And if they happen to be very financially savvy at 27, my sister could give it to my children at that time. She'll be using it for the things that I think are important, like buying a house, starting a business, education, maybe taking a special kind of vacation or a special opportunity, but she's not going to give it to them to buy toys with fast cars and boats and things that will waste all the money.
Oh, here's a great question. They want to know, after listening to your show, I'm not so happy with my attorney. What I want to know is how often should I update my estate plan? And do I have to use the same attorney?
You don't have to use the same attorney. You do want to think about updating your documents with any major change in your life. So if you move to a different state, you might want to look at them and see if that state has special provisions that you need to be concerned about. If you have another child, if my sister, who I named as my guardian or my trustee for my children, moves out of state, I might want to update it at that time. So any major change, think about your documents. Do they need to be updated? Every 5 years, if there's no major change, think about your documents, come on in, we'll look them over and see if there's anything we would recommend you do. Every 10 years, I would say you want to sign your power of attorney again. Just update your power of attorney. Our law says that the banks don't have to accept the power of attorney after 10 years, unless it is unless you named your spouse or children as agents, but you don't want to get into any of these questions. Just have an updated document. Probably every 10 years you should re-sign a document, but I've had clients that don't update their documents for 30 years and everything's okay. So it really depends on your facts and what happens, but I would use that rule of thumb. Every 5 years, think about it, get it reviewed. Maybe you'll update it, maybe not.
Well, we're getting a lot of people want to know about, if you do estate planning, can it save you taxes?
Yes, if you have to worry about taxes. Most of us don't have to worry about taxes because New Jersey does not have an estate tax. Estate taxes are based upon how big is your estate, including all those non-probate assets, the IRAs, the 401ks. We do have an inheritance tax, but let me get back to federal has an estate tax, but the exemption right now is $15 million. So most people don't have to worry about estate taxes. If inheritance taxes apply in New Jersey, so if I'm leaving everything to my spouse, my ancestors, my dependents, my descendants, children, grandchildren, no tax. We're in the zero bracket. Or charity, no tax. If I leave it to my siblings, there will be a tax if it's over $25,000. If I leave it to somebody I've been living with, like husband and wife for the last 30 years, but we're not legally married, there'll be a 15 or 16% tax. So This is where estate planning can be helpful to save those inheritance taxes. If you're over $15 million, there's a lot of plans to save estate taxes after you pass away.
I'm really hoping, Kimberly, with this show, that more people, no matter what their, well, there's a cutoff, but what age they are, to at least get started with it so you can at least protect your family. How do people reach you, Kimberly?
Oh, let me first say, as soon as a person is 18, they should sign a power of attorney and a healthcare proxy, because legally they are an adult and the parents have no authority over them if they need any kind of medical treatment in particular. Please give me a call at 201-291-1603. You can visit my website at www.pattonlawfirm.com. Patton is with only one T. I'd be very happy to review anybody's documents and just make sure everybody is protected.
Sometimes we wonder, are people enjoying the show? We're getting ready to come to an end. 5,000, little over 5,000, 2K. I don't know if that's 280 or 2,000, but not bad. Kimberly, thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. And that's attorney Kimberly Patton. We will be doing another estate planning show next month. And we always bring you the top experts in that field. Hey, I appreciate everybody participating today. We're going to be back with you tomorrow. We're doing a mesothelioma show tomorrow at, I think it's at 5 o'clock Eastern time. So if you know someone who's suffering from mesothelioma or asbestos, we've got one of the greatest attorneys in the United States. And that's going to do it for us today. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.